We all sense it, don't we? That persistent whisper just beneath the surface of the everyday, a subtle hum of something profound that our rational minds struggle to grasp. We fill our lives with tasks and achievements, yet a quiet ache remains. A sense that the most vital parts of us speak a language we've long forgotten. It's like searching for a missing piece, not in the world outside, but deep within ourselves. A map we once held, but somehow misplaced along the road of adulthood and practicality. This is more than mere existential yearning. It's an intrinsic human contradiction. We are creatures of logic, yet perpetually haunted by mystery. We crave clarity, yet our deepest truths often arrive cloaked in paradox. This unease deepens when we realize that the most profound insights into who we are, the very codes of our inner worlds, aren't found in neat formulas or scientific equations, but in symbols, dreams, and the untamed landscapes of intuition. We yearn for a Rosetta Stone, not for ancient languages, but for the cryptic etchings of our own hearts, a guidebook to the intricate, often bewildering cosmos that resides just behind our eyes. And that is where this story stops feeling abstract and starts feeling profoundly personal. That is where an old, forgotten name begins to matter. For centuries, one particular relic has stood as the ultimate symbol of humanity's yearning for hidden meaning, the Voynich Manuscript. It has baffled cryptographers, historians, and linguists alike. Its strange script and bizarre illustrations, resisting every attempt at translation, remaining a closed book. But what if its true language isn't meant for the intellect, but for the soul? What if this forbidden book is not a key to lost kingdoms or botanical secrets, but a complex, symbolic map to your own inner cosmos? What if the Voynich Manuscript is, in its profoundest sense, a cipher for the soul? This forgotten idea, this radical reinterpretation, matters now more than ever. In an age saturated with information, yet starved of wisdom, where external noise often drowns out internal truth, we are collectively unconsciously moving towards a desperate need for such a cipher. We're searching for blueprints of the self, for guidance on navigating the uncharted territories of emotion, intuition, and spirit. The Voynich, viewed through this esoteric lens, speaks to a fundamental human hunger, the need to decode our own inner landscape, to understand the forces at play within us, and to reclaim the lost art of psychological and spiritual individuation. It offers a promise of revelation, not of historical fact, but of profound self-recognition in a world that increasingly demands we forget who we truly are. Imagine for a moment, not a simple historical document, but a living, breathing enigma, a portal. A book whose pages hum with a quiet energy, each peculiar drawing and flowing script a secret instruction, a riddle designed not to be solved by logical deduction alone, but by a kind of inner resonance. This is the premise of the Voynich Manuscript as a cipher for the soul. It suggests that the true value of this baffling artifact lies not in a literal translation of its text, but in its capacity to mirror and illuminate the complex, often chaotic, inner workings of the human psyche. It is less a record of external reality and more a symbolic representation of internal states, spiritual processes, and the arduous yet essential journey of self-discovery. To understand this, we must first let go of the modern impulse to reduce everything to a singular, verifiable truth. The cipher for the soul approach invites us into a deeper, more mystical tradition of understanding. A tradition where symbols are not mere stand-ins for concepts, but living carriers of meaning, capable of activating dormant wisdom within us. Think of the ancient alchemists, who, while seemingly obsessed with transmuting base metals into gold, were often speaking in a profound symbolic language of the transformation of the human soul itself, the lead of ignorance into the gold of enlightened consciousness. Their arcane texts were not merely chemical recipes, but blueprints for inner alchemy, coded instructions for the grand work of self-mastery. The Voynich Manuscript then steps into this venerable lineage. It becomes a different kind of alchemical text, a hermetic manual disguised as a fantastical herbal, a guide not to earthly flora, but to the blossoming and wilting of our inner garden. Consider the herbal section, perhaps the most famous part of the manuscript. Instead of identifying real-world plants, these are often fantastical, chimeric creations, roots and leaves, unlike anything found in nature. What if these aren't plants at all, but rather symbolic representations of our psychological components, our various emotional states, our inherent capacities? Each peculiar root could signify a deep-seated instinct, each strange flower a burgeoning feeling, each leaf a thought pattern. The intertwining vines might depict the complex relationships between these inner elements, how one thought branches into another, how one emotion nourishes or withers a particular internal quality. Viewed this way, the herbal section becomes a botanical atlas of the human soul, charting its myriad species, its hidden ecosystems, its vulnerabilities, and its resilience. It asks us to look at our own inner landscape and identify its unique flora, to understand what grows wild within us and what requires careful cultivation. Then there is the balneological or nymphs section, a series of illustrations depicting enigmatic female figures, often naked, bathing in elaborate pools, interacting with strange plumbing systems, or emerging from curious vessels. The prevailing interpretation sometimes links these to medieval practices of bathing or purification rituals. But in the context of a cipher for the soul, these images take on a far more profound significance. Water has always been a powerful symbol for the unconscious, for emotions, for the primal wellspring of life. These bathing nymphs could represent aspects of the psyche undergoing purification, integration, or transformation. The pools might be containers for specific emotional states. The conduits a representation of how psychic energy flows or becomes blocked. Emerging from a vessel could symbolize rebirth, the shedding of an old self, or the individuation process itself, the journey of becoming a whole unique individual by consciously integrating the disparate parts of one's being. This section then becomes a symbolic guide to emotional processing, to confronting the unconscious, and to the essential spiritual hygiene required for inner growth. It is a visual meditation on the necessity of diving into our own depths to emerge renewed. The cosmological sections, with their intricate diagrams of celestial bodies, suns, moons, and stars, often connected by mysterious threads and conduits, might seem to depict astrological or astronomical knowledge. Yet, if we are mapping the inner cosmos, these illustrations become profoundly personal. They aren't charting the distant heavens, but your unique relationship to the archetypal forces that govern your inner universe. The sun and moon are not merely celestial bodies, but symbols of the conscious and unconscious, the masculine and feminine principles, the rational and intuitive aspects of the self. The intricate connections between them could represent the dynamic interplay of these forces within us, the tension and harmony that shape our personal destiny. These diagrams could be blueprints for understanding our unique psychological makeup, our personal myths, and our place within the larger tapestry of human experience. They reveal how our inner world is a microcosm, reflecting the macrocosm, and how, by understanding the cycles and patterns within, we can better navigate the currents of our outer lives. Even the pharmaceutical section, often depicting various roots and jars, might not be a collection of medieval remedies for physical ailments. In the alchemical tradition, elixirs and tinctures were often metaphorical. Here, these jars could contain symbolic remedies for psychological imbalances, spiritual tonics for the weary soul, or preparations for cultivating specific virtues. Each concoction, a formula for inner healing, a prescription for restoring equilibrium to the psyche. The roots might be the very foundations of our being, and the way they are prepared, blended, and contained could be a symbolic instruction on how to harness our inner resources for profound personal transformation. And then there is the script itself, the indecipherable script that flows across every page, utterly unique and resistant to all linguistic analysis. If the illustrations are the symbolic roadmap, the script might be the direct language of the unconscious, a stream of pure meaning bypassing the filter of conventional language. It could be a form of glossolalia, a divinely inspired language, or even an early form of automatic writing, capturing thoughts and impressions directly from the depths of the psyche before they are translated into words our conscious minds can understand. Perhaps the very act of not understanding the text, of being confronted with pure, unadulterated meaning without intellectual mediation, is part of the cipher's power. It forces us to engage with it intuitively, to feel its resonance, rather than to rationally dissect it. It's a reminder that not all truth comes through logic. Some truths are felt, experienced, absorbed, like a mysterious melody whose meaning transcends lyrics. This interpretation of the Voynich as a cipher for the soul feels so strangely relevant now, because we are at a crossroads. For too long, modern society has emphasized external achievements, material wealth, and quantifiable data as the primary measures of success and meaning. We have, in many ways, externalized our focus, pushing the profound intricacies of the inner world to the periphery. The consequence is a collective spiritual malaise, a widespread sense of anxiety, alienation, and a yearning for something deeper, something authentic. We are witnessing a resurgence of interest in mindfulness, meditation, therapy, Jungian psychology, and esoteric traditions, all expressions of a powerful, unconscious pull back towards the inner land. People are intuitively recognizing that the answers to their deepest questions, the solutions to their most persistent problems, lie not in acquiring more, but in understanding more of themselves. The Voynich Manuscript, in this light, becomes a potent symbol of this collective yearning. It is an ancient text that seems to speak directly to this modern predicament. It acts as a mirror, reflecting our contemporary struggle to make sense of our inner lives in a world that offers few maps for such a journey. Its enduring mystery is precisely its power. It forces us to confront the limits of our rational understanding and to open ourselves to other forms of knowing. It whispers that there are languages beyond words, maps beyond cartography, and truths that reside not in external verification but in internal recognition. The grand art as it was known in ancient traditions, was not about creating physical objects, but about refining the self. Alchemy, Hermeticism, various mystical paths, all sought to provide a framework, a blueprint for this profound internal transformation. They recognized that the human being is not merely a collection of physical parts, but a complex, multi-layered cosmos, a micro-universe mirroring the macro-universe. The Voynich Manuscript, far from being a failed attempt at a herbal or a forgotten scientific treatise, can be seen as an expression of this grand art. It is a cosmic blueprint for the soul, a guide to understanding the energetic flows, the archetypal patterns, and the transformative processes that shape human consciousness. It is a cipher, not for encrypting secrets from the world, but for revealing the hidden architecture of the self to the self. Think of it this way. Our personal experience of reality is fundamentally shaped by our internal landscape. Our fears, desires, beliefs, and memories act as filters, coloring everything we perceive. If this inner landscape is chaotic, unmapped, and misunderstood, then our external experience will often feel the same: overwhelming, unpredictable, and ultimately meaningless. This is where the Voynich, as a cipher for the soul, offers a profound promise. By engaging with it, not as a puzzle to be solved, but as a symbolic mirror, we begin the arduous but rewarding task of charting our own inner territories. We learn to identify the strange plants of our subconscious, the cleansing pools of our emotions, and the cosmic forces that shape our individual destinies. This collective unconscious movement towards inner exploration is not a passing fad. It is a fundamental shift in human awareness. The old paradigms which often denied the importance of the mystical, the intuitive, and the irrational are crumbling under the weight of their own incompleteness. People are no longer content with explanations that leave their deepest spiritual and psychological needs unaddressed. They are actively seeking frameworks, languages, and systems that can help them navigate the complex inner terrain. The Voynich Manuscript, an artifact from a time when symbolic thought and esoteric understanding were more commonplace, emerges from the shadows of history as a potential guide for this new era. It is a testament to the enduring human need for meaning, for connection, and for the tools to understand the most mysterious entity of all, ourselves. But what are the consequences when this hidden mechanism, this need for an inner map, remains unseen or unacknowledged? When we lack a personal cipher for the soul, we are left adrift in our own internal worlds. Our emotions become erratic storms we cannot navigate. Our intuitive flashes are dismissed as mere fantasy. Our deeper purpose remains obscured beneath layers of societal expectation and unconscious conditioning. Without a way to decode our inner experiences, we project our internal chaos outward, seeing it reflected in the world's conflicts, injustices, and anxieties. We mistake these external manifestations for immutable fate, for forces beyond our control, when in reality they are often echoes of our unmapped inner landscapes. Consider the pervasive sense of fragmentation in modern life. The feeling of being pulled in 1,000 different directions. The struggle to maintain a coherent sense of self amidst constant change and external demands. This fragmentation is precisely what a cipher for the soul seeks to address. It offers a framework for integrating the disparate parts of ourselves: the shadow, the anima animus, the conscious ego, the higher self, into a unified, harmonious whole. Without such a framework, these parts remain at odds, creating internal conflict that often manifests as anxiety, depression, or a profound lack of meaning. The Voynich, with its intricate interconnected diagrams and its seemingly chaotic yet persistent imagery, visually embodies this journey of integration, challenging us to find the underlying unity within apparent disarray. Furthermore, when collective belief fails to recognize the importance of the inner world, societies become unbalanced. We prioritize material growth over spiritual well-being, technological advancement over human connection, and external validation over internal peace. This creates a cultural vacuum, a hunger that is constantly fed with superficial distractions, but never truly satisfied. The Voynich Manuscript, standing as an enduring question mark, pushes back against this imbalance. It is a quiet rebellion against the purely rational, a symbol of the profound power of the symbolic, the intuitive, and the deeply personal. It reminds us that true progress, both individually and collectively, must include a rigorous and compassionate exploration of the human heart and mind. The idea that we create consequences we mistake for fate is perhaps the most haunting realization connected to this concept. If our inner landscape is a jumbled mess, a library of unread books and forgotten maps, then the decisions we make, the relationships we cultivate, and the paths we choose are often driven by unconscious forces, or we become reactive rather than proactive, trapped in cycles we don't understand, attributing our struggles to external circumstances when the true root lies within. The Cipher of the soul offers a radical form of empowerment. It provides the tools to understand these inner drivers, to become conscious of our own patterns, and to intentionally reshape our inner world, thereby fundamentally altering our experience of the outer world. It is the shift from being a passenger to becoming the navigator of our own destiny. What then changes when this hidden mechanism is finally seen? When we begin to engage with the Voynich Manuscript, or any profound symbolic system, as a cipher for our own souls, something profound awakens within us. The most immediate change is a shift in perspective. We move from a purely literal understanding of ourselves and the world to a more metaphorical, symbolic, and ultimately richer one. The mundane becomes infused with deeper meaning. Coincidences begin to feel like synchronicities, whispers from the unconscious guiding our path. Our dreams, once dismissed as random neurological firings, transform into potent messages, personalized symbols from our inner guide. This awakening leads to a greater sense of agency. We are no longer passive recipients of life's circumstances, but active participants in our own unfolding. By understanding the plants of our inner garden, we learn which ones to nourish, which to prune, and which perhaps to uproot entirely. By recognizing the archetypal forces at play within our personal cosmos, we gain insight into our motivations, our relationships, and our unique path. The feeling of fragmentation begins to recede, replaced by a growing sense of wholeness and coherence. We start to feel integrated, connected, and authentically ourselves, perhaps for the very first time. The journey of individuation, the process of becoming the unique and whole individual you were meant to be, is precisely what a cipher for the soul facilitates. It provides the language, the symbols, and the framework for this arduous but ultimately liberating path. It is not about becoming perfect, but about becoming conscious. It is about embracing all aspects of oneself, the light and the shadow, the known and the unknown, and weaving them into a tapestry of unique personal meaning. The Voynich Manuscript, in its enduring mystery and its profound symbolic depth, offers us a glimpse into this potential, a roadmap to the uncharted territories of our own being. The ultimate haunting realization is this: the map has always been within you. The cipher, the key, the cosmic blueprint, was never truly lost. It was simply written in a language you forgot how to read. The Voynich Manuscript, therefore, is not merely an ancient enigma, but a profound invitation. An invitation to relearn that lost language, to re-engage with the wisdom of the symbolic, and to embark on the most vital journey of all, the decoding of your own magnificent, mysterious soul. If this exploration of hidden meanings and inner landscapes resonates with you, consider subscribing to the Enchanted Archive for more journeys into the depths of human mystery and forgotten knowledge.